Some might say that the classic television reality program Deal or No Deal is nothing more than a guessing game with a dollop of basic math and game theory. Those same people would be right. But what they aren't aware of is that there's an episode of Deal or No Deal that actually not a lot of people know about. Now, if you've done so much as looked up a Wikipedia article, you'd know that there was a deal or no deal in Afghanistan, except that it was called treasure, in the Persian language, that is. Perhaps given our stereotypes about Afghanistan and the free world in the West, it's easy for our confirmation bias to sift in. There are drug lords and gangs in the mountains of Afghanistan, as well as religious extremists and other assorted radicals who would sooner their offspring met an untimely demise than enjoy a Big Mac sandwich at the local fast food ball pit. But regardless, the Deal or No Deal Afghanistan VHS tape was gifted to me by a freedom seeking Afghan who was hoping that, given my high role in the US government and Illuminati Immigration Society, that I would send him a green card in exchange for the plastic clamshell contraband. I cannot reveal if I granted this desire of his, as it might reveal his identity, my identity, and Doge's role in Deal or No Deal Afghanistan. I popped the VHS tape in and pressed play, but immediately I wished that I hadn't. The mood was what I imagined it must feel like when somebody turns on all the lights at an orgy. The contestants' mouths were all shaped into permanent capital O, reminiscent of Mr. Bill from the classic Saturday Night Live Super 8 sketches. This was curious. There were 3 in total, 2 men and a woman, and in a language I could not readily identify. I could only assume it was Dari or Pashto, the 2 official languages of Afghanistan. All 3 of them were yelling at each other, and a balding middle-aged man in a turban and ragged tuxedo with patched-up rag pockets, who I could only assume was the host. Well, the host had a mix of brown and red liquid on his chin, like a combination of McDonald's barbecue dipping sauce and ketchup. Upon closer inspection of pausing the VHS tape and zooming in with my remote, it sure looked like it was blood. Again, this may just be confirmation bias. It could have been pasta sauce, so for all I knew, either way it was creepy. A message displayed on the bottom of the screen in captions, instantly translated to English somehow. Perhaps my Illuminati television set's AI translation mechanism. I assumed it was an advertisement because it mentioned the 2 sandwiches for $5 meal at Burger King before. Things got more than a little mysterious, repugnant, repulsive, and otherwise horrifying. The host ripped off his turban, revealing a swarm of cockroaches crawling down his scalp and the furled up horseshoe hairline on the sides of his head. I threw up. The cockroaches scampered their way into the mysterious host's mouth before he chewed up some of them into tarish-looking chunks and spat them out into the mouths of the 3 contestants, who ate them up like anxious baby birds. A mysterious blood-red timer counted down to 0 until an ear-shatteringly loud buzzing was heard like a sadistic military-style alarm. I winced. I cringed. I screamed. I sweat into propulsions, and 3 trap doors fell open in the ceiling and smothered 2 of the contestants to death in trout corpses. I panicked at how horribly the set must have smelled. I really wanted to turn off the tape, but as a government agent, I knew it was my responsibility to continue investigating. The host read off a script, and some wingdings characters appeared at the bottom of my television screen in the captions. Years of studying alternative symbolic fonts in high school computer classes had finally paid off. After feeding the characters into Microsoft Word and translating them into Comic Sans font, the message that stared back at me and made me lose my lunch all over again read as follows: cockroaches, fish, and turtle blood. This confused me. I'd seen the cockroaches and fish, but where was the turtle blood? Just then, the camera zoomed to a scene of a giant and admittedly gorgeous aquarium full of rainbow-hued corals, abandoned hermit crab shells, underwater tank castles, and expired fast food coupons. The surviving contestant, despite splurting blood all over the place from lesions in his abdomen and chest, as assorted chunks of muscle tissue could be seen protruding from various unfortunate places, could be seen diving into the tank as the water began tainting blood red in response to the man's external hemorrhaging. Eventually swam into a corner and began feverishly picking up the coupons as the drowning music from the Sonic the Hedgehog Sega Genesis games began to play and become louder, faster, and otherwise more disturbing. In a blaringly loud G major, so loud that I was startled that my television speakers could handle it without distorting the sound farther. Oh. My eyes were glued to the set like a deer in the headlights of a speeding bullet train as the man grasped his neck, hyperventilating and gasping as his eyes became glassy, unfocused, empty. The man was dead. I'm not going to describe more than I need to communicate the scene. The body sunk. A man in a purple or violet bandana and a Donatello Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle costume jumped into the tank and swam down, pulled out chunks of flesh from the man's neck, shoulders, and ankles, and eventually swam upward and out of the tank with the body in his arms, throwing it onto the ground before he leapt out of it. His turtle bandana had now been soaked in tank water and stained in the deceased man's blood. The final surprise began to play as the turtle man stuck his hands deep within the corpse's mouth and pulled out several expired Burger King coupons. He waved them to where the crowd would have been, although there was no clapping, gasping, screaming, anything. The camera zoomed in on the coupons, and a picture of a Whopper sandwich was shown. Finally, the camera zoomed back out, and the Turtle Man. That was no Turtle Man. It was none other than Wow. Deal or No Deal USA host and talk show television personality Howie Mandel, his salt and pepper beard covered in that red and brown mixture from earlier. He was smiling wide. His teeth sharpened, sanded like the compacting ram of a rusted metallic trash compactor. His teeth were covered in tartar and hardened calculus as he tossed the coupons, which floated directly into the camera before falling to the floor, limp like a lifeless body. Deal or no deal? Howie Mandel asked rhetorically, as the screen turned to static and the sound of Howie Mandel's demonic Canadian laughter could be overheard. until all that was left was tape static with the usual fuzzy static noise you'd hear on CRT TVs. And then darkness. Pure darkness. The tape had ended. Darkness. The well-renowned version of Deal or No Deal in Afghanistan translates to Gangina, I guess, which means treasure in the English dialects. That game features 20 boxes with a top prize worth less than $13,000 USD. It ran back in 2010 to 2013. In contrast, Deal or No Deal Afghanistan has no boxes, no prize money. If it ever runs again, it'll be far, far too soon. Turtle blood, turtle blood, turtle blood, turtle blood.